Hello there, Salim Omar here from the eCommerce Money Map podcast. Welcome to another episode. I have an amazing guest with us. Chris, welcome. His name is Chris Clepp. Chris, did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Yes, Chris Clepp. Yep.
Awesome. Great. Chris has been in financial services since 2001, and his practice now focuses on business owners from the ages of 36 to 56, helping them feel confident, knowing what they can and make that so that they can make their work optional in their lives. Entrepreneurial minded financial planner, father of three, who knows how busy life gets. And Chris, I'm so glad to have you here. Perhaps we can start with your backstory. What brings you here? What took you to doing financial planning and helping all the people that you help them with?
Yeah, thanks for having me on today. So I've been in business now for 21 years. My very first day in the business was 9/11. So I thought I was getting into one career those many years ago. And the day that I started, the world entirely changed. So I started off in the insurance side of the business. I came up as an agent, and within the insurance world, they always promote people that are good on the agency side to management quickly. So I went through management. I eventually partnered with another individual as running my own insurance brokerage. And I could talk a lot about why things didn't go well there, economy, poor choice in business partners, et cetera. But at the end of the day, it was my first time as a business owner, right? And I really didn't understand everything that went into being a business owner, and things didn't go well the first time, as is the story for a lot of business owners, right? As the first time they went out there, it didn't go as well. So I came back to Chicago. I regrouped a little bit. I went back to doing some management, but I didn't like that. So I went back out on my own, running my own practice within another agency. And then what I found out is over those years, I started working with more and more business owners. And what I really craved was being able to have really deep, meaningful, impactful relationships with my clients. And the people that I really loved working with were people that were about my age, going through the business. I work with a lot of first generation business owners, people that don't have those networks built up. And, over the last 4.5 years, I've really focused on that financial planning part of the practice, working with those Gen X, Gen Y. So that's why 36 to 56 year olds. I'm 47, business owner on my second business, 3 kids. I have a lot of things to do. I know that I have a lot of professionals, accountants, attorneys that I work with. And so really, I love working with those people that are running around with their hair on fire, which is what all entrepreneurs are, and being able to help them get back more of their time and live the highest, best version of their lives.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for sharing that. So what's work optional and how's it different from retirement?
I think that it's a great question. And what most people think, and I think what I've heard a lot as a pushback from business owners, is they don't think about retirement in the way that your average 9-to-5 worker does, right? They think of it in a much different way because they have invested themselves into their business. And a lot of people, they may be thinking of this as like I am, as like a multi-generational business. I would love to have, my daughter my oldest daughter who's 25, and then my youngest children, 4 and 2, eventually come into this business and be able to create that generational wealth. Some people think of their business as a paycheck, but some people think of it as their paycheck to get out to eventually sell the business. It's a lot of different things, but what we all want to do as business owners, and why a lot of us have gotten into this running of a business, is because we wanted to have control of our time. We wanted to have autonomy over our situation. And that's what really work optional is that I know a lot of business owners who never think they ever want to retire. I know personally, my plan is to work as long as I am physically and mentally able to do this. But what I do want to have is I want to have control so that if I change my mind down the road, I can do something different. If something changes in my life, if I have my spouse gets sick, there's something that happens with my children that I need to devote much more of my time to that aspect of it, that I have put together the financial plan so that I can do whatever I want to do and make the choices on my own terms, not the terms that are dealt.
Yeah, I like that. What do people usually get wrong about, what financial planning is?
So I think that the biggest thing that people think, and if you ask 100 people, financial advising, financial planning, what do you think that a financial planner does? And when I ask these questions during initial interviews, it's consistently, well, you tell me where exactly I should invest my money and how I should invest it and when I should trade Tesla and Microsoft and Amazon and all of this. And while that is certainly a piece of it, to me, that is such a small piece of it, particularly when you get to the business owner side of it. Financial planning really is being able to live the best version of our lives and live in alignment with our values. We begin with some goal, right? So like I'm a big fan of Stephen Covey, begin with the end in mind. Where is it that we're trying to go to, and use that as our true north? Now, what is it going to take for us to get there? Well, obviously it's going to take some investments, but it's also going to making sure that our insurance is in place correctly so that if we hit some bumps along the road, that's taken care of. We want to make sure that we're doing some effective tax planning along the way as well. We want to make sure that our assets are allocated. It's not just investments, but it's how our real estate is done. It's how our business is done. Are we owning our own business as a business owner? How are we doing all of that? We want to make sure that our estate planning is in order. From a business owner perspective, there's a lot of stuff that goes into running that business. That is the flywheel, of your economic engine that you have there. And how do we also not just have all of these things, but how do we have all these things and making sure they're all pointing in the same direction, right? If we have a tax plan that goes one way and an investment plan that goes another way and some estate planning documents that go a third way, and then we forget to do the insurance, all of it, there's a lot of places where we could fail just because we don't have a cohesive plan. You wouldn't operate your business. You wouldn't have your accounting department doing something different than your sales department and not have those two pieces talk. But a lot of times individuals and business owners have a financial life that sort of is going in a lot of different directions. And so I think that a good financial planner can be sort of the quarterback, the person that sits next to the business owner as they go through there. Because while you're running the business, you have accountants and attorneys and, and sales and all these things that you're working through. And then eventually you're going to get to the point where you want to have an exit from your business, whether it's internal or external. But there may be a business broker and there may be some additional attorneys that are involved in there. But then when you get to the side once you get past that, a lot of those people have sort of gone away because they're no longer intricate to your business. But a financial planner will be there before, during, and after that entire process. And they're the only ones that's sitting with the same viewpoint as the business owner has and making sure that everything from beginning to end is executed. And so we're able to keep that long-term view while the business owner, again, is focused and present on running their business and then also doing all the other things that are important to them, family and things of that nature.
Yeah. How can having a financial plan improve a person's life?
Yeah. So I think that's, to me, I'm a big person of thinking, failure to plan is planning to fail. You would not, as a business owner, think you could run a successful business without a successful business plan. And that is true also for having a plan, is that we know that life is going to be full of ups and downs, right? We know that the only thing that we know is that progress is not linear, that we're going to, we always see these visions of, whether it's an Elon Musk or a Jeff Bezos, and we see, they started at point A, they went to point B, and we just think that that's a straight line of progress. And that's never the case. And so what a financial plan allows you to do is so that when we have these setbacks, when we have these obstacles, when we have these setbacks in our lives, we have a plan that we can get back to help us keep on that long-term path to success, whatever that may look like for you, right? Because there's a lot of different paths for success. Again, it's the person that wants to leave work forever in the business, the person that wants to sell out at 50 or 55 and live that financial independence, retirement early lifestyle. It could be, and anything in between. So we want to make sure that you have the plan that makes sense for you, and that, and that as you track off of it, that you have something to get back to keep you on that path to your true north.
Yeah, I like that. And, really, I mean, things are not static, creating a business plan. And this is, many times a business owner, they'll go through a very elaborate process of creating a business plan. And if it's not updated, it's not referred to, then it becomes static and it becomes not relevant, right? So I'd say the same thing with a financial plan, right? It needs to be kind of referenced and used as the compass to kind of make sure that the path, is aligned to what the plan is. And making changes probably to the plan as things change.
Well, I think that your point is excellent in the fact that the way that we view it is, the value in working with someone like myself is not the plan itself, right? Really, it's the planning process. It's a constant iterative process. Now we have the plan, right? And so this tells us where we want to go, but the planning process helps us adhere to that and make adjustments where it makes sense along the way.
Yeah. Now, why, you talked about exit planning as one of the components. Succession planning, exit planning is one of the components of comprehensive financial plan. Why can a business owner not sell their business without a financial planner in the mix?
And that's a great question, because that is the financial plan for a lot of business owners, right? Is that so they begin thinking, okay, I need $5 million to be able to retire. They have this number, whether or not that's the right number or not, that's a different question, right? So, but they begin with, I need $5 million. So now what they have done is that they've now anchored themselves to, my business is going to be worth $5 million. I'm going to sell it for $5 million when I retire, without understanding how much really goes into doing that. And so we need to begin with what it is that business owner really thinks. So let's just play it out, so the business owner says, I am going to retire at 65 and I need to live on the current lifestyle that I have, and I make $250,000, let's say, a year, or $300,000 a year. I need $300,000 a year to live, to be able to do X, Y, and Z. So we need to figure out, so what to get $300,000 in today's dollars, if you're 50 and you're going to sell at 65, what does 300,000 look like at 65? What's that large number need to be? So now we need to also figure out, okay, so now let's go get a business valuation, an informal business valuation, at least to start. And so we're going to say, okay, now so now you need, actually, we find out that what you really need is $9.5 million, right? Your business is worth $4 million today. Is there a path to get us to that $9.5 million? And what KPIs do we need to take a look at to accelerate that? And then can you do that, or do you need to bring in somebody else? Do you need a fractional CFO? Do you need outsourced sales? What is it that you need to get from 4 million to 9.5 million? Or if not, what other things can you do? Proper retirement plans, outside investments, we can get you so that you get that $9.5 million, when you're 65. And then also, how can we make sure that you don't have all of your eggs in one basket as well? So the first part, right, is understanding what number you actually need, trying to understand what the value of the business is today. Can we get you to that number? Because the other thing is, like, if we're using those numbers and we're understanding that proper exit planning, and it's weird talking to a 40-year-old going, okay, how are you going to get out of this business if they don't really plan on getting out until their 60s? But the thing is that good exit planning is really good business planning. It's really good for your personal income in the meantime, because the same things that you need to do to your business to make it eminently saleable and run without you and be able to be effective, right, and make it a good saleable practice, also make it a better running practice for you to live on in between those times.
Yeah. That's so well said. And I like how you think about it. Your entrepreneurial mindset shined in the way you responded to the last question about how to fill the gap, right? A business that's valued at a certain amount, 4 million, and they need to get to 9.5 million. That's a good conversation then to have, is how can we fill the gap? What do we need to do to get you there?
Yeah, because also, like we talk about sometimes about people that they think they need, actually sometimes they think they need more money, and they're running their business to try and be every bit as profitable, but it's become a little bit less enjoyable. We see this a lot with physicians in particular, that they would rather spend more time with their patients than make all the money. And if they can get to that number without running that practice that is only about money, but it's more patient-centric, now all of a sudden, now they have more enjoyable practice. So now those 20 years before retirement are much more enjoyable for them, and they find a lot of value in that as well.
So in your opinion, what's our most valuable asset?
To me, I'm a big believer that time is our most valuable asset. We're either trading money for time or time for money. I mean, it's one or the other. I don't know that there's a lot of people that go out of this world wishing they had made a few more dollars, but there's a lot of people that everybody that goes out of this world wishes they had a little bit more time. And so really, we want to make sure that we can get as much of our clients' time back to them, right? I'm a big believer in the circle of competence theory, originally espoused by Carnegie. Warren Buffett made it a little bit more popular, is that we focus on what we're really good at, and then we outsource all the rest. I mean, listen, a lot of my clients are much, much smarter than I am. They could do everything that I'm doing. But the fact of the matter is, it's like that old story, right? The old lady, she had a creaky floorboard in her house. She called the carpenter. He came in. He stepped around on the floorboards a couple of times, took one nail, drove it, gave her a bill for $100. She goes, $100 to drive a nail. And then he goes, oh, excuse me. He took it back, crossed it out, gave it back to her, $1 for driving the nail, $99 for knowing where to drive the nail. So it's just
Right.
that
Nice.
experience helps from my aspect, making it so much easier, so that the 30 hours maybe that me and my staff spend in a year on an individual client, it would take someone who doesn't do it every day a lot more than that. Why can't we give them that much more time back to be a good parent, good spouse, good business owner?
Yeah. Yeah. So somebody listening to this and says, man, good stuff. Appreciate everything you've shared, but they're feeling really behind in their financial journey. What's your advice to them?
And I totally get it, because if you read the news articles about how much you're supposed to have saved at certain years, everybody sort of feels like they're behind, right? And that there's no time like the present to begin. I think people always underestimate what they can accomplish in a day, a week, or a year, but vastly underestimate what they can do in 5, 10, or 50 years. A 40-year-old or even a 50-year-old, someone who's 50, they think that they view it as a very short time set. I view it as we're trying to build a plan for the next 4 decades. And so when you think about we're building this plan for the next 4 decades, you have a lot of time, right? Like myself at 47, I'm halfway through my journey, right? And so like I feel that myself within business, right? Like I wish I was a little bit further ahead, right? And that's just the mindset that I have, because I have I'm always measuring myself against the top of the industry, right? And like, I wish I could do that podcast better. Or I wish I could do that video a little bit better, and I'm behind. But the thing is, if I start doing it now and get just that 1% better every day, we can accomplish great things. And really, that's what it is that the magic for a lot of the investing and everything that we're doing is that compound interest curve, and the magic happens over a long period of time. So I totally understand if you feel like you're behind, but pushing it off is not going to make it better a week, a month, a year, or a decade from now. So at least begin now. And there's some simple steps that you can have. Most of the time when we sit down with a new client, we're talking 3 to 5 years before we have that ship turned everything in the right direction. There are some things we can do immediately, but there's going to be a lot of things that it's just going to take a lot of time to maneuver. So just understand that you have time on your side.
Yeah. There's a very popular Chinese proverb that says the best time to plant a bamboo tree was 20 years back. The next best time to plant it is today. So it's just doing it today. It's never too late, right?
Very well said. Very well said.
Yeah. This has been so good. Lots of good insights, good information that you've shared about, becoming a better version of ourselves financially, and that really carrying over to all our other aspects of our life. So I've got a couple of more questions. What's the biggest problem people have in preparing their financial future?
I think the biggest problem most people have is that they don't want to do it, and they push it off, thinking that they can get to it at some point in the future. And beginning now is I think, unfortunately, our industry, and this is certainly true for a lot of people, that they think that they need to have $1 million in cash just to invest, to be able to work with a financial advisor. We have several different fee arrangements to be able to work, particularly with young business owners, to help them get them on the path so that we can be in alignment with them. I view this as, I'm going to be in this, in this business for another 30 years. I want to be able to invest my time and energy into people that have that abundance mentality and want to do it, even if they don't feel like they're quite ready for it. Having a good conversation about it. There's lots of times that, we talk with people and go, just do A, B, and C. And then once you get through step C, then it might be time to come back and work with someone like me.
Yeah. And there's a lot to be said for having on our team an expert or various experts that do this for a profession, right? Because as an entrepreneur, I've been at it for 26 some years as a business owner in an accounting firm, and then now working with e-commerce business owners as well. What I believe is that entrepreneurs, business owners, human beings, we have blind spots. And Ray Dalio, he wrote a book, called The Principle. He's the founder of Bridgewater, and he kind of emphasized and highlighted it a couple of years back. It's a thick black covered book, but an amazing book, how he grew his fund to like over $1 billion and very successful 2,000 person firm. And he mentioned the blind spots that we as entrepreneurs have and business owners have. And we don't know what we don't know. And for somebody like yourself working and having that meaningful conversation can really, really shed light into what are some of the things we should be doing or could be doing that we may not be doing. So I really value that. That's been one of the things that's really helped me as an entrepreneur is, connecting with folks that have a certain expertise that I don't, because they can then shed that insight to make my life much better, easier, more successful.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big believer in that idea about understanding where your blind spots are. I'm a big believer in having a network of specialized professionals that your league of extraordinary professionals that help you propel you to success. Morgan Housel, who wrote The Psychology of Money, a really great book, he talks about, I think, that your experience of everything that's gone on in the world, right, is like 0.0000005% of everything that's gone on. Yet it's about 80% of the way that we think that the world works. So I think, that we definitely have a ton of blind spots, and the first step that we can have towards success is understanding those and being able to either fix those areas or find people that can help us fill in those gaps, not only on what it is that we're consciously ignorant of, right? The things we know we don't know, but also the things that we think we know, but may be wrong about as well. And so we need to be open to that as well.
Yeah. Chris, what's the best way for someone to reach out to you?
Yeah. So my website is buildingtowardswealth.com. That's buildingtowardswealth.com. We put out a weekly blog designed at the Gen X, Gen Y, first gen business owner clientele. You can also find me on LinkedIn. That's where I do most of mine. Chris Clepp, that's CLEPP. Hard to miss me because the last name is not very common. So pretty easy to find me on there. I'm also on Twitter. I'm BuildWealth312, but less active on there than on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Great. Chris, thank you so much. Really appreciate the time you gave us and the amazing wisdom and insights you shared with us.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.